Right now it is August the 17th, and the time right now is about 1:14 a.m. Okay, so the thing that I have to talk about is the fact that my dad, the greedy framer, right now, after trying to get me to sleep with his in laws, went over and asked his in laws if they were willing to sleep with me or not. And after asking them, they rejected it. And they said, how could you even ask something like this? Obviously, what kind of an abnormal psychotic individual would even ask something like this, where they're showing their own kids, older woman, and their in-laws to be sleeping around with? What a model parent. Weirdo psycho is what this man is. Really, and something's not right with him in there. And so then he went and he called his in-laws and asked if they were willing to sleep with me or not. And they said, "What is wrong?" You got to remember, you got to picture this a little bit. The man has a 5 foot long beard, and that beard he's grown throughout his entire life as a sign of being religious and pious. And after growing that beard for the past 50 years of his life, he's doing all of these things to try and get the money so that my mother isn't the one getting it. And he already, by the way, he already advertised the woman from his in-laws before he even asked. So then he goes and he asks with his 5 foot long beard that he's grown for the past 50 years as a sign of being religious. Literally 50 years. He grew this beard out for the past 50 years, 50, as a sign of being religious and pious. It's, yes, it's what happened. And then he goes and he asks people in his in-laws if they're willing to sleep with me, because then if they do, then they'll get illegal assurances of money from me. Can you believe it? And so she looks at him and she says, "How could you even ask me this question? Are you insane? Are you out of your mind?" Obviously, the woman's just gonna think he probably has sexual perversions for me, which is why he's asking me this question. If the Hassan had the money, why would he come for me in the first place? Which means that Mr. Ansar wants me in the first place, and he has sexual perversions with me, which is why he's asking. So he gets yelled the heck out by her, like it obviously, and she is right. Like it's just, like if I had the money and I was sexually perverted, wouldn't I just find people in town? Well, actually, I wouldn't do that. Obviously, normal human beings get married, and they get married to people that they love dearly, and that's how they live their life. But this scenario is very strange, and this is why he got yelled at by her, and she said, "What is wrong with you? Why would you even ask something like that?" Obviously, same thing happened with Miss Deb, by the way. He used to call her every single day to try to convince her to not give me her daughter. And then one day, law enforcement, he didn't know law enforcement and Miss Deb were BFFs. So he calls law enforcement and he asks law enforcement to start advertising his own wife's niece to me. At which point, the next time he calls Miss Deb to, "Oh, I'm just calling to convince you to not give your daughter to Hassan," she pretty much says, "What is wrong with you? Please don't ever call me ever again. You're a married man. I'm a married woman. You cannot call me every single day, all day long like this." And that's when he stopped. And right now, he's literally trying to find people that would basically, under the guise of finding people that would be willing to sleep with me in exchange for money, when in fact he's just, something is not right with him. But one of the things that he is doing right now is he is calling and yelling Ibrahim, the greedy farmer spokesperson's envious and greedy mother. Now, when we talk about Ibrahim, the greedy framer, we cannot talk about him without talking about something very important over here, which is this. Ibrahim, the greedy framer's sister, who was advertised to me 39 minutes past midnight on the night of August the 16th. So, yes. So Ibrahim, the greedy framer spokesperson's mother, is being yelled at by my dad, the greedy framer, and the reason is he's saying, "You betrayed me. Now, you have to understand why he would be saying you betrayed me, mainly due to the fact that he feels that she told the government informant about the early January lies. Now, the early January lies, you have to understand my dad, the greedy farmer, is an expert at exaggerating things. He will exaggerate things to the point of oblivion where the person would end up getting a life sentence due to the exaggerations. And at the end of the day, you find out that the things that were exaggerated were all a bunch of lies. So the first thing that you have to understand is the fact that the government informant was told by Ibrahim's envious mother that she had nothing but lies against me. Okay, so she has absolutely nothing but lies against me. First thing, she's given one entire day to think over this, and this is what next day she comes back and she says, I have nothing but lies against Hassan. So now, the thing about it is, my dad, the greedy farmer, you have to roll back the tapes and look at how he exaggerates the entire month of January, all his lies. Extremely exaggerated to the point that I'm not getting a life sentence, but that I am getting a death sentence due to the lies that my dad, the greedy framer, tried to exaggerate against me in early January. Absolutely exaggerated to the point of oblivion to the most extreme level possible. Those lies were exaggerated in early January, the entire month of January, until the day of February 10th, when he's told by the courts that the courts are fully aware that these are lies, at which time he starts going, do you want this sister of mine? Do you want this sister of mine? That's what he starts doing on the night of February 11th, the entire time until early April, when he starts making more lies that are caught from phone conversations that had to be retrieved. Now, the thing about my dad, the greedy framer, is right now he is yelling at Ibrahim's envious mother, saying that you betrayed me. Now, why would he say that you betrayed me? Basically, due to the fact that him and Ibrahim's envious mother obviously had lies that they had planned out. They both worked together, and after he found out about my brain savant and its money, which right now it's no question, he's asking woman and his in-laws is how desperate he is to try to get some of the money so that my mother wouldn't be the only one getting it. He basically, as soon as he found out about what artificial intelligence said about my brain savant, he got together with Ibrahim's envious mother, and they both basically made up plans on lies that they were going to make against me. So these lies, obviously, she goes and she tells the government informant everything right before November 20th, as that these are absolute lies. Now, the first thing she says on the very first day is that she has nothing but lies, and the government informant gives her an entire day and he says, think it over, please. You can't just, this is not how it works. You got to understand, Miss Shamim, I'll give you a day. Lies are, that not that easy to exaggerate. I'll give you something else. What I need you to do is think of something, anything we could use against Hassan. Real things matter, and then I'll help you exaggerate those instead. So why does he say that? Because the government wants to know if she has anything or not in the first place. So if she doesn't have anything, then obviously her son doesn't have anything. Ibrahim, the greedy farmer, he doesn't have anything. My dad, the greedy farmer, he doesn't have anything. Farah, the greedy farmer, she doesn't have anything. No one has anything. So she's given one entire day and she's told, think it over, please. We really need you to think on this, please. The next day, she meets with the government informant and she says, I have absolutely nothing. Nothing but lies. We have are lies. That's all we have. So my dad, the greedy framer, then what happens is after she's working on November 20th, she tells the government informant basically that she has more lies planned out for early January to be made against me to enviously lock up my brain savant. This is why my dad, the greedy framer, right now is calling Ibrahim's envious mother and yelling at her and threatening her and accusing her of betrayal. she is the one that betrayed him. How so? She told the government informant that they were full of lies, for one. And the other thing that she told the government informant was that the other set of lies that she had planned out for early January. Now, my dad, the greedy farmer, after November 20th was caught, every single day he would call the courts and he would beg them from morning till night. He'd be like, please, just please let me talk. Please let me. Why was he doing this? He was doing this because of the fact that if he didn't talk, all those lies that he had planned out for early January, they would have gotten wasted. You got to remember, he was planning this out with his Framer sisters for a while, which is what she confessed to the government informant. So if he did not beg the government, beg the courts to let him narrate, all these lies from early January would have all been wasted. So now he had to beg, and now when he begs, he gets he narrates exactly what's been told as being a complete and total lie. Now, look at the level of guilt that my dad, the greedy farmer, has. On the night of February 10th, as soon as he's told by the courts that they know it's a lie, he doesn't even try to argue against it because he knows he's gotten caught. He knows that these are lies. So what does he do? On the night of February 11th, at 22 minutes past midnight, first he texts me and says, so nice to hear from you after so long. And the only hearing we were having was in court the entire day of February 10th, where I was telling the courts that this man is a pathological liar. He knows about my brain savant monetary potential promised through artificial intelligence that was illegally told to him by law enforcement. Law enforcement, by the way, never did their job. What they were supposed to be doing their jobs in, they've been running sex schemes and money fraud in since 2001, with sex schemes going with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001, and money fraud that's been going on for years and years. And right now they're putting up the commercial for Lanterns, the movie where he says, we haven't just been brought over here by coincidence. Yeah, no kidding. You weren't brought here by coincidence. You were told on day one, you were told, this is the target. This is the target house. It's a good thing they brought that commercial over because really, this is what we needed right now. This is the target. This is what you need to watch. This is what you need to do. This person says things against the government. You need to investigate this. This is your work. These are the people that you have to investigate. So no kidding. It was no coincidence. And what did law enforcement do? They've been running sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001, due to which they provided Uncle Joey with such a protocol in the year November 2022 that it would make a sitting governor envious. They ran money fraud the entire year of 2023, and in the year of 2023, we found out that there was even a wedding crime that had to be investigated. They never did, only because Sohaib and Assad would be found in that wedding crime along with their BFFs like Uncle Joey. Uncle Joey's mother would be there because it's a wedding, okay? All of these people are law enforcement's own BFFs. They would not investigate them, okay? My dad, the greedy farmer, who is banned in multiple countries, I told them that my dad, the greedy farmer, was encouraging people to go join terror groups in 2011. Did law enforcement take notice? No. They couldn't care less. They went and they defended my dad, the greedy farmer, in front of the government. You know when this happened before? This happened before with Uncle Joey. They defended Uncle Joey before with the government and all of their BFFs completely, which is why they would put up the movie We Were Liars on my TV home screen all day and night long. They would go and defend all of their BFFs like Uncle Joey, Sohaib, Assad, all these people completely in front of the government, and they would lie for them only due to the fact that law enforcement were BFFs with these individuals, and they knew that these individuals were criminals that they did not want to investigate or prosecute, due to which they would lie for them. Sohaib and Assad would both be found in the crime scene for the wedding crime that the president keeps asking them to do. No one less than him. The president keeps asking law enforcement to investigate the wedding crime. Right after 2023, he would say, investigate it now. You got to remember, when they were trying to frame me for the wedding crime, they confessed that I had nothing to do with it. Well, you confessed to that, but someone did. And so the government basically told law enforcement, all right, fine, we get the joke. The joke's over now. Can you go investigate it now? They never did. Instead, they would put a cartoon of the president saying, these people don't know what they're doing. This is what their work has been from day one. Well, anyways, this video that I'm making right now, it's not about law enforcement. It's mainly about my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters who have used not law enforcement, um, yeah, but the thing I have to add in there before I go on is the fact that my dad, the greedy framer, basically he was sending people to terror groups in the year 2011, and I was telling the truth. Turns out the FBI was forced to follow him around every time he came over to the U.S., due to which now he's banned from coming over to the U.S., and they would go and talk to Ibrahim's envious mother, who would tell them that they're harassing her and that the FBI should leave her property. And not only that, the person that he sent happened to be a government informant whom my dad, the greedy framer, was in fact sending to a terror group. And guess what? He's now been caught. But I was telling the truth in the start, now wasn't I? And they weren't listening. Why? Because that's how they do it with their BFFs. This is why they would put up "We Were Liars" on my TV home screen all the time, because they were liars. They lied for their BFFs. They covered over crimes for their BFFs, and they're criminals due to doing that. The wedding crime they covered over, Sohaib and Asad were both involved in the wedding crime. Bushra Akhtar was involved in the wedding crime. And yeah, and they covered it over. They couldn't care less about the wedding crime. All their BFFs would have been there, and they would have all committed it, due to which law enforcement could not investigate it. They're not going to investigate Uncle Joey for the wedding crime. Obviously, Uncle Joey's going to commit it, then his mother's going to talk about it. They're not going to investigate their own BFFs for the wedding crime. So basically, yes, that is not how it's done. And so, yes, they simply just put up something really simple up there, like "We were liars, oh, poor you" thing. Well, anyways, this video is not about that. It's basically about my dad, the greedy framer, and how he has used national security till now for his own personal benefit of locking up my brain savant due to artificial intelligence, marking it as literally the most profitable in the world right now. So my dad, the greedy framer, basically, yes, that is what he was doing. He was using national security for his own personal motive. And the biggest evidence of that is the fact that right now, my dad, the greedy framer, is calling Ibrahim's envious mother all day, yelling at her, telling her that she betrayed him only because my dad, the greedy framer, and her were both working on false testimonies and lies against me to literally give me the death sentence, only to lock up my brain savant, make sure that no one could get any of its money if he's not getting it. And now that he's been caught, you have to remember that my dad, the greedy framer, is a master exaggerator, a master fabricator. The entire month of January, he spent from morning till night making false testimonies, lies, and exaggerations against me, only for it to come out on February 10th as being a complete and total lie, and the court's telling him that, look, Mr. Ansar, we know these are lies. How we know, don't worry about it, but we know these are lies, mainly because that was a government informant that what you were fabricating with. And my dad, the greedy framer, shows the most extreme level of guilt at that time. Instead of arguing back, he knew he was guilty, due to which he goes into texting me at 22 minutes past midnight, and then at 3:17 a.m. he starts sending me porn stars pictures with his sister Fur's name on it. 3:56 a.m. that same night, he's sending me a picture of a woman resembling Ibrahim's own mother. That's how messed up this man is. And then he's already told that the porn stars picture is an open advertisement for incest, and he's still doing it on March 7th. And that is Sunny Leone, who is a porn star. And look on the bottom, right over here, says Farah Khan. Right over there, it says Farah Khan with Sunny Leone's name right on there. So he was already told that it was an open advertisement for incest, and Sunny Leone is a porn star, and you cannot do this. Well, it didn't stop him on March the 7th, and nor did it stop him on It didn't stop him starting March 10th either, when he started sending me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling his other sister, Afreen, on March 10th, and every day afterwards. This is March 13th, by the way, and it's still there. And this is March 17th, by the way, and it is still there. Okay, so basically, he acted in the most guilty way possible. As soon as he's told that these are known lies, he doesn't argue against them. Instead, he runs after the money. Now he's failed to enviously lock up my brain savant, so now he is going to run after it greedily. And how does he do so? By trying to get me to trying to get me to commit incest with his own sisters. That's how messed up this individual is. He tried it on February 11th, then he tried it again on March the 7th. And then he was trying it again on March 10th and every single day afterwards. That's how messed up this man is. He is all about money, envy for money and greed for money. But the thing that you have to understand about my dad, the greedy farmer, is right now he's yelling at Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother due to the fact that she betrayed him, quote unquote, his own words. You betrayed me. Why is he saying you betrayed me? Mainly due to the fact that she is the one who told the government informant that they're full of lies and nothing else. You have to understand the fact that he is a master exaggerator, fabricator, which is why I told the course about the short story incident today that he's going to try the short story now, that the entire thing has failed and he's got nothing. He's going to try short story now. That's the only thing left for him, but I have nothing to do with that short story. Not only that, even if I was living in the U.S., it would have been like how I had been since the moment I gained the sighted bit of mental maturity, only living with my mother, never seeing any of law enforcement's BFFs. It's no longer needed, just like how I was no longer at the PAL Center anymore. I wasn't even remotely in a setting where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me ever again. So yeah, so whatever the short story was about, there's no way for me to know. But the thing that the courts have to understand is the fact that I wouldn't be anywhere near any of law enforcement's BFFs who could have even remotely have said anything remotely considered bad around me, which obviously law enforcement never cared about. You have to understand the fact that people like Uncle Joey, who used to adult supervise me as a child, I never saw him again after I was a child, ever. My mother found him with a dirty chat and she never let me near him, as the phone conversation from Russia will clearly prove. Also, the facts and evidences will prove this as well. Yes, even though law enforcement tried multiple times to try to get me to go with Uncle Joey. Not only this, in 2019, Bushra Akhtar was about to say something, and it turns out law enforcement never cared, because in November 2022, they were running sex schemes with Uncle Joey, and then in 2023, the entire year, they were running money fraud. Okay, so law enforcement could not care less about anything to do with any investigations. And when I would be in the US, there's no way of knowing what the short story is about or whom it's about. But the fact of the matter is, I would be nowhere near any of law enforcement's BFFs who could have said anything even remotely considered bad around me, which means that me being in a crime scene is out of the question. So if I can't even be in a setting where anything even remotely considered bad could be said around me by any of law enforcement's BFFs, what are the chances I could be in a crime scene with anyone at all? So yeah, I wasn't present in the wedding incident, and guess what? The people who were present in the wedding incident were people like Sohaib and Asad and Bushra Akhtar and all of law enforcement's BFFs. Okay, Whereas poverty was a blessing in disguise for me, due to which I wasn't. So if I'm not even in a setting where anything even remotely considered bad could be said around me by one of law enforcement's BFFs, like Uncle Joey, or people that they run sex schemes and money fraud with, like Sohaib or Assad, then what are the chances that I could be in a crime scene? Absolutely zero. So if this short story thing, even if I was in the U.S., after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, the facts and evidences clearly show that I wasn't even in a setting where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me ever again. So me being present in a crime scene was out of the question. Okay. So this short story thing, it doesn't make any sense, especially considering the fact that the kind of upbringing my mother gave me after her forced necessity ended. No longer was I at the PAL Center anymore, where I would be adult supervised by police officers for free, and nor would I be anywhere near any of law enforcement's BFFs anymore, where I'd be adult supervised for free anymore, because it was no longer needed. And after that point, after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity in life, I spent years with my mother before I went overseas, and where I was never seen in any settings except for her, because it was no longer needed. And when I was overseas or anywhere else, I wasn't even ever living even in the same country as my dad, the greedy framer, never talking to him on the phone ever, making it impossible for someone whom I've never even lived in the same country with or talked to on the phone, to have had any influence on my life or environment whatsoever. So basically, yeah, that is the thing that I had to say. Now, the other thing that I was trying to say was just the fact that they're not letting me talk. It's just the fact that, yeah. So the thing that I had to really say is just the fact that they're not letting me talk. So right now, my dad, the greedy farmer, the reason he's been calling and yelling at Ibrahim's envious, greedy mother is due to the fact that he's claiming that she betrayed him, and the reason that he's claiming that she betrayed him is due to the fact that she is the one who told the government that the government informed him that they're full of lies, for one, and two, that all the early January lies are in fact lies, which really clearly shows beyond a reasonable doubt the fact that my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters have been using national security as a means of basically locking up my brain savant enviously, due to which right now he's been trying to find other ways of trying to greedily get this illegal assurance of money from one way or another. But yeah, my point with my dad, the greedy framer, was with his short story lie that he was trying to use right now against me after all of his lies have been caught, is the fact that my dad, the greedy framer, obviously would make up a story about how, the FBI called me and told me this and that. Isan was overseas, that's why he was not a criminal. Where in fact, even if I was in the U.S., you have to look at the facts and evidence. It's not my dad, the greedy framer. My dad, the greedy framer, in the entire month of January, exaggerated lies to the point of oblivion, almost giving me a death sentence only on February 11 for us to find out that these were complete and total lies. So this short story obviously is going to be a lie, but the thing that you have to understand is I wouldn't even remotely be present in a setting where anything even remotely considered bad could be said around me by one of law enforcement's own BFFs or anyone else. So the fact that I would be present in a crime scene would be out of the question, considering the fact that I had never in my entire life been present in a crime scene. My mother only dropped me off, had me adult supervised by either one of law enforcement's own BFFs or people at the PAL Center that were police officers who would adult supervise children for free. Never was I ever present in a crime setting, and after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, I was never around any of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey ever again, and nor was I needing to go to the PAL Center anymore because it was no longer needed. So these lies and exaggerations my dad, the Greedy Framer is now making with the short story is just like the early January lies that he's made before. Nothing different, but the fact that you have to understand is the fact that my dad, the Greedy Framer, right now is calling and yelling at his own Framer sisters, Ibrahim's envious mother, due to the fact that they both worked on lies together. And the biggest evidences of this fact is as soon as my dad, the Greedy Framer, is told on February 10th that these are lies that we know about, immediately afterwards, instead of arguing against it, he starts asking me if I'm willing to sleep with his sisters in exchange for illegal assurance of money, since now he sees that enviously locking up my brain savant has failed. So try to get Hassan to give me some illegal assurance of money now before his brain savant gets freed anyways, which is absolutely illegal, but it shows guilt. And right now, my dad, the Greedy Framer, yelling at his own Framer sisters, it clearly shows guilt and shows that the reason he's accusing her of betraying him is due to the fact that she told the government informant that they're full of lies and nothing else, due to which he cannot make any more lies due to the fact that he's already made so many lies for once. And the other thing is the early January lies, whatever it might have been, he must have wanted to reuse them or try to reuse them, which he cannot do only because they've already been confessed as being lies by his Framer sister, Ibrahim's envious mother. So thank you.